Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I turn this old canvas that I had laying around into something that's Rae Dunn inspired. I was inspired by another piece that I had in my house that I had purchased. So I figured since I'm not using this canvas anymore, I saved it because I knew I could repurpose it. So I just turned it into like this Rae Dunn inspired artwork, like you can see here. I just had my baby, he's 3 weeks old, so I figured why not just do like all of our names together since we're like a complete family. So that's what I came up with. You can totally do whatever you want to it, but that's what I came up with. So here you'll see that I have my canvas, and this right here is the piece that I have in my kitchen that I was inspired by. You can see the Rae Dunn letters, well, the knockoff version, and then the gray canvas around it. So that's what inspired me to redo this. So I'm just going to reuse this sawtooth hanger that the canvas already came with. So I'm just going to pop that off and save it so I can reuse it towards the end. So I kind of struggled with that a little bit because it was little tiny nails, but I got it off. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and try to remove these staples from the canvas, and it was a little tricky to do because they were really good in there since the canvas is old, so I just had my husband do that for me. So now I'm just going to go ahead and sand it down just because, the wood is a little bit rough, so I just kind of want to sand it down a little bit, make it smooth. It doesn't need to be perfect, but I just wanted to smooth it down a little bit. Next, I'm just going to take this really light gray paint that I had left over. I have a lot of paint left over, so this will cost you nothing if you have all these supplies on hand. So this is just a really light gray. I really do like the darker gray, but you'll see afterwards that my walls are dark, so I really don't want to do that same kind of gray because then it would just blend too much. So this is why I picked a lighter gray so that it can stand out more on my darker gray walls. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint that all up front. I didn't even bother doing the back. So now that I got my coat on for that light gray, I'm just going to go ahead and take like a white color. It's technically like a super light gray, almost white. And I'm just going to kind of dry brush that onto the gray so that it kind of gives it more of that like worn down rustic feel to it. So that's what I try to attempt there. Just really lightly, you don't want to wet the brush, you just want it dry. In this next step, I'm just going to take that canvas paper and measure out how I want it on the frame so that I can cut it out and just put it right back on there. Okay, so using that same color that I used to dry brush on top of the gray, I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole canvas with it. And keep in mind that that type of canvas cloth is, it has like a texture to it, so it really soaks up the paint. So I only did one coat, but it does soak up a lot. And I wish I did a more whiter color, but I didn't have any more white on hand. So I really wish it was more white, but this is all I had, so it's that muted white gray color. So next I had printed out the letters that I needed for my canvas. So of course, like I said in the beginning of this video, I did our names. So I'm just going to cut those out and line it up on the canvas of how I want them placed. That way I can get them transferred on. So what I'm doing to transfer it is I'm just taking a pencil and coloring the whole back of that printed image, so that way I could just place it on top of the canvas and trace on top of it, and it will transfer very lightly your wording or whatever you're trying to trace out. That was just the easiest way for me to do it. There's a lot of different ways to transfer. You could actually use chalk as well, but since the canvas has a texture to it, I didn't want the colored chalk to like leave some residue of the color inside of like the textured areas of the canvas, so the pencil was the easiest way for me to do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this to all the letters, and I didn't record all that because you kind of get the gist of how it works. So I did the rest of the letters off camera. Okay, so now for the last step, I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue the canvas onto the wood, and I have a staple gun, which would have been so much easier, but I couldn't find it. So you could use your staple gun to keep it nice and tight like a canvas should be, or you could actually use really small nails if you really want to nail it in there. I didn't have those either. And if you really don't have any of those items, then you could use thumbtacks, like the metal flat thumbtacks. So I'm just going to reattach that sawtooth little hanger. That way I can hang up the canvas. Alright, so we're all done, and this is what it looks like. I think it came out pretty cute. I turned an old canvas that, was pretty much garbage, and I turned it into something new. You could definitely do this however you like. Change the color, do whatever you want on there. So yeah, that was my little idea, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So thank you so much for watching.